They shot a president in broad daylight and got away with it. Today, I'll tell you how they did it. November 22nd, 1963. Dallas, Texas. A sunny Friday afternoon. The President of the United States is riding in an open car, waving to crowds. And then, in 6 seconds, everything changes. 3 shots, 1 dead president, 1 arrested suspect. Case closed, right? Wrong. 2 days later, that suspect is murdered on live television in front of millions of witnesses by a nightclub owner with mob connections. Now, why would that happen? Why would someone risk everything to silence the one man who supposedly knew the whole truth? And that's just the beginning. Over the next few years, dozens of witnesses start dying. Car crashes, heart attacks, suicides, all of them people who saw something that day, people who knew something, people who were about to talk. Coincidence? Maybe. But how many coincidences is too many? See, the government told us a simple story. 1 man, 1 rifle, 3 shots. End of story. But here's what they didn't tell you. The witnesses who heard shots from a completely different direction. The bullet that somehow zigzagged through 2 men and came out perfect. The autopsy that changed between hospitals. The files that are still classified 60 years later. And the suspect? Oh, he's interesting. A communist who defected to Russia, then came back like nothing happened. Hung out with pro-Castro groups and anti-Castro groups. Was seen with possible CIA operatives. And the government wants us to believe he was just a nobody, a loner. Nothing to see here. I'm gonna tell you a story tonight. Not the story they taught you in school, not the one in the official report. I'm gonna tell you about the magic bullet that defied physics, the grassy knoll where dozens of people heard shots the government says never happened, the photographs that might be faked, the deaths that are just too convenient. And by the time we're done, you're gonna understand why most Americans, even 60 years later, still don't believe the official story. Because this isn't just about 1 dead president. This is about whether you can trust what your government tells you, whether conspiracies can really happen, and whether the truth can stay buried forever. So settle in. Turn off the lights if you want, because what I'm about to tell you is the greatest unsolved mystery in American history. And it starts on a beautiful day in Dallas when the world was about to change forever. Picture this, November 22nd, 1963. It's a gorgeous Friday afternoon, not a cloud in the sky. Temperature's perfect. President John F. Kennedy, young, handsome, the most powerful man in the world, is riding through downtown Dallas in an open-top limousine. His wife Jackie sits beside him, wearing that pink suit that would become burned into history. They're smiling, waving. People are cheering, taking photographs, excited to see their president up close. Everything seems perfect. Just another campaign stop, just another motorcade. The Secret Service is watching, the police are there, the crowds are friendly. What could possibly go wrong? The motorcade turns onto Elm Street, past the Texas School Book Depository, through an area called Dealey Plaza. 12:30 p.m. Bang! The president grabs his throat. Something's wrong. Bang! Governor Connolly screams. He's been hit. Bang! Kennedy's head snaps back. Jackie screams. She scrambles onto the trunk of the car, trying to grab pieces of her husband's skull. The limousine speeds away, racing to Parkland Hospital. but it's already too late. 1 p.m. President John F. Kennedy is pronounced dead. He was 46 years old. Now, you'd think that's where the story ends, right? Terrible tragedy. The nation mourns. They catch the killer. Justice is served. Everyone moves on. But that's not what happened. Not even close. Within hours, police arrest a man named Lee Harvey Oswald. But here's where things get weird. This isn't just some random warehouse worker. This is a guy who defected to the Soviet Union, gave up his American citizenship, married a Russian girl, and then somehow, during the height of the Cold War, just came back. Like he'd been on vacation. Hey guys, I'm back from Russia. Yeah, I hung out with the communists, but no biggie, right? And the government just let him back in. Even gave him a loan to help with the trip. Does that sound normal to you? But wait, it gets better. 2 days later, Sunday morning, they're moving Oswald through the basement of police headquarters. Cameras everywhere, live television, millions of people watching. And suddenly, out of nowhere, a nightclub owner named Jack Ruby bursts through the crowd and shoots Oswald dead on live TV in front of everyone. The only man who supposedly knew the truth, silenced forever. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. The alleged assassin of the president is murdered before he can say a word in his own defense, before he can testify, before anyone can ask him why he did it, or if he even did it at all. And Ruby's excuse? I was so upset about the president's death that I just snapped. Sure, Jack, that's totally what grieving nightclub owners do, murder suspects on live television. But here's what makes it really interesting. Jack Ruby wasn't just any nightclub owner. He ran a strip joint, sold watered-down drinks, and he had connections, organized crime connections. His phone records looked like a mob directory. Calls to Carlos Marcello's people, calls to associates of Sam Giancana, all the big names. So, let me ask you something. What are the odds the one guy who knows the whole story gets killed by a mob-connected nightclub owner before he can talk? Coincidence? Or cleanup? Now, the government had to do something. President Lyndon Johnson, who'd just become president because of all this, knew he had to calm the nation down. So he appointed the Warren Commission. Chief Justice Earl Warren in charge. Smart men, important men. Take all the time you need, boys. Find out what happened. 10 months later, they released their report. Nearly 1,000 pages. Their conclusion? Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. No conspiracy, no second shooter, just one troubled man with a cheap rifle who changed history. Case closed, mystery solved. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. But you know what happened? The American people didn't believe it. Not then, not now. Polls in 1964 showed more than half of Americans suspected a conspiracy. By the 1970s, nearly 80%. And today, most Americans still think there's more to the story. Now, that doesn't mean they're right, but it sure does mean there's something about this case that doesn't sit right with folks. It's like the government said, "Trust us," and the American people collectively replied, "Yeah, that's gonna be a no from us, dog." So what made everyone so suspicious? What did all these people see that the government said didn't exist? let me tell you about some of the things that made people suspicious. And when you watch that film, frame by frame, you see something that troubles a lot of people. When the fatal shot hits Kennedy's head, he jerks backward and to the left. Now, basic physics tells you that a bullet pushes you in the direction it's traveling. So if the shot came from behind, from the book depository, why did Kennedy go backward? Seems like that shot came from the front, doesn't it? From the grassy knoll, maybe? The government says it's more complicated than that. Something about muscle spasms and nerve reactions. Got a whole explanation involving neuromuscular responses and whatnot. Lots of fancy scientific words. Maybe they're right, but it sure looks suspicious to the naked eye. Sometimes I think they're hoping if they use enough medical terminology, people will just nod and go, okay, sure, I guess that makes sense. Oh, and here's where it gets even stranger. The Warren Commission said one of the bullets, just one single bullet, caused 7 different wounds on 2 different men. They called it the single bullet theory, but critics mockingly dubbed it the magic bullet. And boy, is that name fitting. See, according to them, this bullet entered Kennedy's back of neck, came out his throat, then somehow, and this is my favorite part, changed direction in midair to hit Governor Connally in the back, came out his chest, shattered his wrist, and finally lodged in his thigh. 1 bullet, 7 wounds, 2 men. This bullet apparently went to Hogwarts and learned some advanced spellcasting. Now, I'm no ballistics expert, but that seems like one hell of an acrobatic bullet, doesn't it? It's got better moves than an Olympic gymnast. Governor Connally himself never believed it. His wife, sitting right there when it happened, said she was certain they were hit by different bullets. When they showed the recovered bullet to people, it looked almost perfect, barely damaged, just sitting there all pristine. How does a bullet smash through bones, zigzag through 2 bodies, and come out looking like it just rolled off the assembly line? The Warren Commission said it had to be 1 bullet because witnesses only heard 3 shots. If each wound needed its own bullet, the math didn't work with what people heard. So they made 1 bullet do the work of many. Problem solved. Just ignore the laws of physics and common sense, and it all works out perfectly. Convenient, don't you think? Now, let me tell you about something even more unsettling. The deaths. And I mean, buckle up, because this is where things go from suspicious to, okay, that's genuinely creepy. In the years after the assassination, people connected to the case started dying. And I don't mean from old age or natural causes. I mean under strange circumstances. Really strange. Like, what are the odds strange? There was this journalist, Dorothy Kilgallen, sharp lady, covered the Jack Ruby trial, and she told people she was close to cracking the case wide open, that she had information that would blow the whole thing apart. In 1965, they found her dead in her New York home. Official cause: accidental overdose, mixing alcohol and sleeping pills. Maybe that's all it was, but the timing sure is suspicious, isn't it? She says she's about to expose the truth, and then, oops, dead. Nothing to see here, folks. Then there's Rose Cherami. Now this one's wild. Before the assassination even happened, she allegedly told hospital workers and police that Kennedy was going to be killed in Dallas. Hey, just FYI, the president's gonna get shot this weekend. You'd think someone might want to follow up on that, right? Nope. After it happened, she claimed she knew about the plot. In 1965, she was found dead on a Texas highway, run over by a car. Hit and run. Was it murder to silence her, or just a tragic accident? You tell me. A researcher named Penn Jones started documenting all these deaths. Witnesses who saw strange things that day, people who claimed to know conspirators, associates of Jack Ruby. One by one, they died. Car crashes, heart attacks, suicides, murders. Heart conditions nobody knew about. Accidents that seemed just a bit too convenient. It's like someone was working through a checklist. Okay, witness number 37, done? Who's next? Now, the government investigated this and said these deaths were just coincidences. And maybe they were. People die all the time, especially over a span of years. That's just statistics, right? But when you start counting them up, when you see the pattern, and we're talking dozens of people here, it's hard not to wonder if somebody was tying up loose ends. I mean, at some point you've got to ask yourself, how many coincidences is too many coincidences? And that's just part one of this story. We haven't even talked about who Lee Oswald really was. The mafia connections, the Cuban angle, the CIA theories, or why the government is still hiding documents 60 years later. If this story has you hooked, and trust me, we've only scratched the surface, hit that subscribe button right now. Because in part 2, we're diving deep into who Lee Oswald really was. Was he a communist, a CIA operative, a patsy being set up? The truth is stranger than fiction, and you're not going to believe what we uncover about this guy. Seriously, the man's story has more twists than a pretzel factory. Don't miss it. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you catch part 2 the moment it drops. You'll regret it if you don't. Trust me.